Hey everybody, this is Fulcrum. Welcome. We are going to do something a little bit different today. We are still actually at Star Wars Celebration. The event just ended. With me, I've got Julie Corrali and I've got Sarah Jensen, codename Awesome Sauce. I'm just making this up right now.
Awesome Sauce, yeah. Movie sauce.
Codename Fulcrum, codename Awesome and Sauce. We're of course exhausted after a crazy weekend of stuff, but we wanted to record something while we're all here before we travel to various parts. Just kind of do a little what happened at Celebration, how was it, our experiences, and of course also the reveals and things like that happened. Things to keep in mind, first of all, the Wi-Fi here sucks at the hotel that we're at. So if things are a bit choppy, it is not you.
It's Chopper.
It's Chopper Wi-Fi. And of course the lighting in here, like this is all we could do. So these are not the best conditions for this. But first of all, thank you for being here, even though we've been together all weekend.
You're welcome. No, we're super excited. Absolutely.
We actually, there's a lot to go through. And of course, today technically is I should mention, I'm going to be in the chat for all of this. Like, even though this is pre-recorded, I will be messaging and doing all the things. So I'm here. This is already pre-recorded. The one thing I will say is that today is the release of the new Mandalorian episode. We will not be talking about it, even though Julie and I got to see it already. So we know what happened, but there will be no talk of that. So don't worry about it. There's no spoilers for the particular podcast. But what do we got? Let's actually get started with before we get to there's a lot of merch and stuff.
Swag.
I know.
Well,
sorry.
there's merch too.
There's merch and swag. We're actually wearing some of the merch. Actually, there we go. This is the Return of the Jedi merch because it's the 40th anniversary of it.
It's also my 40th anniversary.
That's true. We've got the Ahsoka shirt that was in the store as well. This was all from the actual Celebration store. And
I was very excited. Rebels.
Woo! That's going to the little Padawan.
Yeah, that's going to my Padawan.
And of course, they both actually have this shirt. They were twinning.
It was the best karaoke outfit ever.
Yeah, no, right? It was great. We went karaokeing last night. So yeah. Bunch of nerds that also probably are all musical theater people as well. That's what you get. But let's actually get started with the Lucasfilm showcase just for a moment. Talk about some of the reveals and things like that. We weren't at, but Julie was.
Yes.
But of course, we got to see the reveals, and the first day at Celebration was chaos.
That's putting it kindly.
Yes. It was absolute chaos for organization. Like, anything they said was going to happen did not. It was
push me, pull you, go up, stop, stay.
There was a lot of unhappy people that day.
Yeah, I myself have been writing a very frustrated letter, but
I mean, thankfully, Julie and John, who will actually be on at some point, talking. We're actually going to talk like vintage Star Wars games. Yeah, we're talking about that. I know, right?
Can we play the game?
Probably. But John grew up with them, so
yes, he did.
But yeah, so the Lucasfilm showcase that did happen. They basically had a ton of reveals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's actually start with the first three films that they're announcing first three films in forever. But the first one we've got was the Dawn of the Jedi,
mm-hmm.
which was 25,000 years before all the events that we have now at the very beginning of the Jedi. What did they say with that reveal?
So they basically talked about like having this kind of conceptual idea about. I think they used kind of the word biblical, but it's not going to be a biblical film, but just that kind of idea of like the beginnings of the Jedi, how they were created. So they have this pitch for this idea, and it's taking so far in the past, so it'll be completely new characters. So the director came out, and I'm forgetting their name, but
there's so many
there
names
were
and reveals.
There were so many names and so many reveals. Yeah, so they were essentially talking about that, and then they obviously they can't tell a lot about it, just that they were really excited to pitch the story and tell the story. So that was kind of essentially that it's going to be kind of the telling of biblical proportions of like the creation of the Jedi.
I
The
find,
origins
yeah.
of the universe.
I find
Yes.
that super interesting because there's so much they can do with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's EU stuff, but obviously, like that doesn't really play into this too much. I'm sure they'll borrow a little bit, but
Well, I think Dave mentioned origins of the Force, even not just
Oh,
the
yeah.
Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, like creation of the universe kind
Yeah.
of thing was the
Big
like,
Bang,
budding
there's
almost.
ideas.
so much
Yeah.
you could do with that. That's intriguing. And the nice thing about that is that you have a clean slate. Like you can create whatever you want to create. It's literally 25,000 years before. Like
Exactly.
you don't have to stick to the same aspects, which could be creatively interesting, but also could go horribly awry if you don't
I mean,
take.
even stylistically, it could be completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From
exactly.
a design perspective.
Which would be really
It's-
interesting to basically because it's an origin story, to have take liberties with what that looks like visually. What you're seeing, the creation of the Force, the creation of the universe. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So, they didn't talk too much about other than that idea.
Mhm.
And then revealing the logo there. I don't know if we can at some point put up the like new logos because they had.
Oh,
we
that's-
probably
Google
can.
just
Google.
got
Google.
after this.
Yeah, exactly. After this, I'll go on the Google and you'll be able to see the string of logos for.
Oh yeah, there was a whole like timeline of the
Yeah.
different logos that they had, and
Yeah.
like
Oh, nice.
the eras that they defined the eras a little bit different than they had before because of what they're doing creatively.
Mhm.
They're doing that, and then of course we've got the second movie, which is the Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni's directing his first feature film, and it's the culmination of the Mandoverse, basically what's happening with the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett,
Mhm.
Ahsoka, all these shows that are happening in this timeline, and it's going to culminate. Basically, it's going to be your kind of like end game type of like lead up into to something like that, but on the big screen.
His big thing, because he's hilarious because he can't talk about anything and he knows
No.
everything. So every time he was, asked a question, he's like, I'm going to talk about this moment and how excited I am in this moment to be here with all of you so that I don't talk about anything else. Which is his whole thing. So he, when he talked about this movie, he was like, I'm just so excited that I get to make a movie. That was what he said. So he's just thrilled. And it'll just be the culmination of the series, putting all the pieces together that we're seeing, all of the tie-ins from the Disney Plus series. So
And they teased the fact that they were like building to something bigger, but the
Mhm.
fact that this would the bigger is a feature film is very intriguing because of course there's going to be a bigger budget for that, and it's going to be a big Star Wars film, so you're going to get all this culmination of like characters that you love from all the different shows. So how they're going to bring that all together will be really interesting. Obviously, with this Mando season and the Ahsoka series, we'll get a little.
Yeah, the one thing that I find interesting about the new Star Wars things that are coming out is, I hope that they keep kind of that scrappy underdog feeling in
Mhm.
spite of like the big budget stuff, because that's part of the charm of the original Star Wars is how like homemade in your garage it all is, and to keep that feeling, as they have massive budgets and all of this new technology, like it. I feel like that is something like from the original trilogy that we lost in the prequels, and then with the last three movies that kind of came back a little bit, and so I kind of hope that they keep that. I don't know.
Yeah, now that we're away from the Skywalker saga,
Yeah.
you've got like the Rogue One essence type of
Mhm.
thing, where like you're gonna tell a singular story, and it's not a part of this like overall like Skywalker
To
saga.
dovetail it in with it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like you get to tell its own thing, and with the characters that you want to add into that. I mean, with two of the three movies, we have returning characters for things, but we'll talk about the third one in a moment. But like there isn't that like it's the Skywalker saga, and like this is going to be a trilogy of
Right.
things, and we have to do this thing overall, and this is the formula you do for the three movies. Like it's like you get to tell a story and kind of do it your way. if that
And I
makes
think you
sense.
can bring elements of that. Like I feel like using puppetry, so things like Grogu
Yes.
and the Loaf Cats and Salacious Crumb species.
Yeah.
You know, like when you see when you're seeing, you know, the like practical effects and the puppetry, like that's some of the charm
Yes.
of Star
I
Wars
agree.
to me. And I think like having that practical element, you know, kind of embedded in that visual effects makes it feel more Star Wars to me.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the course correction that they made was bringing
Yes.
those practical effects back in after the
Absolutely.
prequels.
Yeah, you could definitely see a lot of it. And that was actually a big thing. Like, so they had the creature presentation
Yes.
as well.
That I really wanted to see that.
We didn't see it at all, but like everybody was kind of raving about what they did with that. There were no like particular reveals for.
They actually did a teaser of it in one of the panels that I was in. So it was gorgeous. So basically what they did, it actually might have been the first panel, the like big Lucasfilm panel. Basically what they did, because they were on the large stage, is they kind of revealed, like rolled in this like chunk of the stage, and they had all of these creatures and like costumes, and so you could see all the costumes, you can see all these little creatures, you know, sitting down, and it was really cool. And all of a sudden some of them just came alive because they were actors, and it was just wild because you were kind of watching this you know, this still image, and then all of a sudden they just kind of came at you. So that was really, really cool.
The diorama comes to life.
I know. it was really, really neat. And so they were interacting. I think at that point Kathleen Kennedy was on the stage, and so she was talking a little bit about it, and the creature creator was on the stage. So they were talking a little bit, so that was really cool.
And of course, the third film, I believe they were calling it The New Order. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of the band. Again, there's so many things to process from this weekend.
The New Jedi Order.
The New Jedi Order.
I think,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
I think that's
Then I
what
was thinking of the band.
right.
New Jedi Order. That makes more sense. And of course, they're bringing back Daisy Ridley to be Rey Skywalker, and that's going to take place 15, 16 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. So be really, I mean, everybody on the internet was saying like they better bring Finn back to actually give Finn a real storyline.
Poor John Boyega.
I mean, in my opinion, they kind of screwed him over in the writing of
it was
like,
just up and down.
yeah, they were like, where are we going with this character? I don't know.
We don't know.
As long as he screams Rey, we're fine.
Yeah.
Which is it's annoying because he's so talented.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And they just didn't give that character, in my opinion, the quality
A
could have been for the
satisfying
writing.
arc.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yes, exactly.
I say it respectfully. But that's going to be interesting because I know as soon as it's announced, the next like few years, Dude Bros are going to have a hard time for several things. First of all, is that no, they're never going to retcon the sequels. I know that's been a theory that people have been trying to push for years, and it's dumb because everything that's leading up to the Mandoverse, Bad Batch, everything leads into the sequels. And the fact that Rey Skywalker, who first of all people get all
she even a Skywalker.
yeah. There's that one. There's the whole like Mary Sue thing that people try to push out there. It's a lot of ridiculous things, but the internet's going to be kind of fun the next like few years.
Today is opposite day. It is not going to be fun.
No, it'll be frustrating, but it's fun in the fact that that first of all we get to return to this, and I think with the return in this movie is that learning from creative mistakes from the sequel trilogy, which for me was just not having an overall world building concept of what it would be, is that I think now they've learned from that. They can really focus in and create a better story when it comes to that. Now they have characters that they can build upon and give them like an actual like arc within this, that I'm really looking forward to. And last year we restarted Rey Day, which is December 1st. And now this gives even a lot more motivation to be able to kind of continue that each year. But beyond that, it's just Daisy. Like that was the reveal.
Yeah, I'm so excited that character will, we get to see more of her. I mean, I think Daisy was brilliant in that role, you know, regardless of whether you like or dislike or whatever your thoughts are on the sequel trilogy. I thought that she was just absolutely fantastic in that role. And she seems so genuinely thrilled to be back for it. So I'm so excited for her.
That was like the really kind of cool through line was all of the panel guests that were returning. So like Ewan and Ian and like everyone
Hayden.
who was coming, and Hayden, anyone who was coming back to the Star Wars universe after having been gone for a while, universally they were all so excited to be returning, which is really heartwarming and nice. It's just everyone, no one didn't say, oh, I'd really love to come back. And some of them are like, wow, I really hope there's a way that the characters are really dead.
Yeah.
Come back.
There was a lot of that in
There
the
was a lot
sequel
of
trilogy
that, yeah.
panel. But TV show wise, I'm gonna hand this off to Julie because we got to see at the Celebration Live stage, Sarah and I got to see all the cast members from The Acolyte being interviewed.
Cool.
So we were around watching a lot of that, but we weren't there for the reveal and the trailer. And I feel bad about trying to look for leaked material. I don't want to be the one to leak things, so maybe I'll have to go look for that. But, you know,
We have ethical standards.
yes,
here.
exactly.
Yes.
But The Acolyte, as far as like what you saw,
Yeah, I want to know about
It
that.
looks so
yeah.
good, you guys. Oh no, I know it looks amazing. I feel like it has well, I mean from the trailer that I saw once, so bear with me. It has this like really Andor feel to me, but with like, you know, Jedi. So we're getting kind of all new characters. We're getting a mix of Jedi and Sith, and I think a lot of it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it tells kind of the story from the baddies' perspective. So you're gonna get
that's the
cool.
gist of what I'm feeling.
yeah.
So the concept that I heard is that from a while back is that you've got like a couple dark side, whether I don't know if it's Sith or dark side people that are kind of undercover, like amongst Jedi, that type of concept. So you've got like stealth darksiders basically.
Yeah, and we did get to see
Like
in the
Dooku on
trailer,
purpose.
definitely. You said that
Like Dooku, but on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did get to see some red lightsaber action in the trailer, which was really cool. Yeah, it looks really interesting. And like the cast just seems super charming and super excited to be there. Jason from The Good Place is in that series.
Oh my god.
And I just lost my mind. He is so sweet. His big thing, which I thought was hilarious, was like if they're, you know, like in it and they're filming and lots of stuff is going on and everybody's like high pressure or whatever, he'll just pause and be like, "We're making Star Wars, you guys!" Like he's so funny. Yeah. So I'm so excited. Like after seeing the trailer, I'm so excited for that series because I really think that they're going to be taking some of the elements from Andor, so some of that like grittiness, and we can do something different.
Nice.
Because it's like all new. Like because it's all new characters.
There are a couple. This takes place like kind of the end of the High Republic. So
Right.
the book series that have been coming out are called the High Republic, and we're in phase 2 of that, which is actually a different timeline. It's actually earlier than phase 1. But basically, you've got kind of like I'm not sure if my hands are going to line up with the direction of what you're used to on that end. But you've got like the first books that came out. You've got the books that are coming out now. And, this one is going to be kind of the tail end of High Republic, just before things really start to kind of devolve into where we find ourselves in the prequels. So it's an untold era that you can pretty much kind of do most anything that you want, which is even more exciting.
But there will be some characters from the books.
There
that will
are,
be
I
in
think,
the
a
series.
couple possible. I think there was one character that was announced
Okay.
that wasn't like a major, like that. There's a couple possible, and there's a Jedi Wookiee, and they haven't named the Jedi
The one
Wookiee.
thing that I remembered,
Yeah,
they made a big deal about it on the live stage, is Jedi Wookiee. They made us say it like 5 times, and he's like 80 feet tall.
and it's the
Oh,
same
yeah.
actor that plays Chewbacca now. I am going to mess up his name, so I'm not going to try it.
Jonas?
Jonas.
Jonas.
Is it Jonas? Is it
Jonas?
just pronounced Jonas or
Is it
Jonas?
Jonas?
I'm gonna say Jonas.
He was
It's like
really
Han
tall and
Han.
blonde and had
Yeah.
on a white
I'm used to-
turtleneck
I'm used
sweater.
to-
Jonas.
we have Swedish friends that we have to say like Jonas.
Jonas.
So
Mhm.
I always forget how it's pronounced live, but
I'm
yeah.
not sure. Yeah.
So within the High Republic books, there is a Jedi Wookiee, or kind of a Padawan Jedi Wookiee, that we do not know the actual fate of, and that's why I'm like, the Wookiees live a long time. Could this possibly be that character? If you know the High Republic, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah, there's some speculation about whether
Yeah.
it's the same Jedi or not.
I mean, either way, Jedi Wookiee is going to be fun.
Yeah.
But and the Mandela Stenberg there, originally like as a child from Hunger Games, but they've had like a great career as well. I don't remember everything else.
Yeah, there were a few actors
That's
I
where she's
recognize
from.
them.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one from His Dark Materials.
Oh yeah,
Is that the
I
Tired.
just watched it too.
Yeah,
There's
Tired.
so many names this
so
weekend.
so
First,
many
forgive
names.
us.
So again, you
Yeah.
have Google. So
Mhm.
after this podcast, you can Google.
It was so cute though. She was cosplaying Padme on the day
Yeah.
of the
Oh, Mandalore,
panel.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh
She
my
just-
gosh, it
she's
was
just such a
adorable.
fan.
Yeah, she was such a fan. She came up. She's like, just want to be clear, Padme is not in this. This is for me. I'm
Yes.
cosplaying my favorite character. I mean, it was really wholesome.
It's so sweet. Oh, I mean, I think you mentioned that earlier, but one thing that's really cool about like all of the actors that are in it, they are so excited to be in Star Wars. And even if they're like, some of them are such long-term fans, like they've been fans since they were, 2. And then some people that maybe didn't have a, Star Wars background, or like, weren't kind of in this universe, came to the series or whatever series that they're in, and then just like they're so invested in it. So there's just this general excitement in all the panels about how much people love Star Wars and what it means to them. So it's really lovely to watch.
It's very wholesome content.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save the Ahsoka stuff for when we talk about the Ahsoka panel. But I guess the last thing is Mando. They didn't have any specific announcements besides
Skeleton Crew. They
Oh,
also
Skeleton
talked-
Crew.
yeah.
Thank you.
So they talked about Skeleton Crew. So the big thing was that Jude
Jude
Law
Law.
was there. I lost it a little bit. I had like stood up and screamed. I'm fine. But so yeah, it was pretty rad.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jude Law came out, and then they introduced 3 of the 4 kids. And it was kind of a like Goonies meets Stranger Things, which was I guess how they pitched the show.
that I'm
And
in
I am
board.
here for
Yeah.
it. I am so here for it.
two things I
Yeah,
love.
it looks great. So like should I talk a little bit about the trailer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
So the trailer basically kind of starts with the kids and they're in a classroom, and then they like sneak out to do something, and then they end up in a situation where they're no longer on their home planet or no longer at their home. Somehow they meet Jude Law's character. And I don't know if I want to say any more than that.
Okay.
We're gonna give you information, but we will edit ourselves of any like too much spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't
On
say
this particular one.
they
for
didn't
this
really reveal who Jude Law's character is, but they might have revealed some things about his character. So, but I'll just leave it at that. So
He's
basically,
delicious.
yes.
He's handsome. That's
Very
not a
handsome.
secret.
No.
Dumbledore.
God, that's what I forgot. He was similar.
Don't watch those movies.
They also said Skeleton Crew, it's intended to be a kid show, but it's intended to be a kid show with like adult elements. And so when originally it was revealed last year, it was like, oh, it's going to be a kid show. Okay. I mean, I watch kid shows all the time, so whatever. But in watching the trailer, I think it does have a very Stranger Things kind of feel. It probably won't be that dark. As dark as Stranger Things, but so I think it's geared towards kids, but I think it will also be enjoyed by adults. It looks really good.
I don't trust Lucasfilm when they say things are for kids
Clone Wars?
Clone Wars and Bad Batch and
Never
Rebels.
trust them after Bad Batch again.
Yeah. Oh my God. We were all at the Bad Batch panel, and yeah, we'll get to that. But so we're gonna save the Ahsoka thing for the Ahsoka panel, but let's take a break from the reveals and stuff and go into some swag. Because so one of the great things about Celebration or cons like this, but particularly Celebration, is that people come with a lot of their own swag that they either trade or just hand out. Like they just made a bunch of really cool things and they're just handing out free things. And sometimes it's to just people that they befriend. And then sometimes it's just to random people. But if you notice, dangly things right here, I'll let you talk about that because you have that. Yeah.
Okay. So I was in line for, it was at the Galaxy stage. I
Yeah.
don't remember. But I was cosplaying Hera, and this adorable young woman she was Dave Filoni. She had on the hat and the shirt. It was great. She wanted to take a picture, and then she had on the earrings that Julie is wearing currently, and I put it mildly, lost my shit over her earrings because they were gorgeous and really vibrant. I said, "Oh my God, I love your earrings." She's cool. Would you like a pair? And I was like, the what now? Yeah. Yes. Can I buy them from you? No, I'm just handing them out. And then she looked at me, dressed as our favorite space mom, and said, "Actually, I have one pair of Hera ones, and I may have had a litter of kittens." And then she pulls out of her bag the most, I mean, look, I gotta get up in here. Look at these. Look, they're so gorgeous. Yeah, and she is, where did I put my little thing? Sky Girl Snips she does have an Etsy shop. I'm going to plug it because she is amazing and the nicest person on the planet. Sky Girl Snips. Shwink. It's adorable. She has some hair ones, and look at these little ones. Look at them. Look at that vibrant teal.
Yes.
They're so good, and they're so light. So for any of our dancing friends who might be watching, they are fantastic for dancing because they are very light and not heavy at all. They're leather.
Yeah, they're
hand-painted
leather.
I mean,
Hand-painted
they're just
leather.
Astounding.
They're super
And-
comfortable and yeah, really nice.
Mhm.
Really,
I
really
believe it's
Yeah.
hypoallergenic metal as well.
Yeah, so far I am allergic to most metals and I've been wearing them and I'm fine. So
Yes.
yeah.
Fantastic.
if there's breakdown during this podcast, we'll know.
My ears are
No.
swelling. I gotta go.
She's been wearing them for hours now. And I got nothing for some reason.
You've got
I got a lot of swag. Just I didn't get the earrings.
and actually I wanted
But
to say,
actually, to be fair, I didn't have ears at the time because I was just cosplaying as Ahsoka.
Oh, that's
so
right,
I didn't
you
actually
did not
have
have
ears at the
ears.
time.
I didn't have
So
ears.
I didn't.
I didn't
I
get
had
them.
I had
ears.
Montreal, and that I don't think you want to pierce that. That I
not
know
only
of.
did he not have ears, he could hear nothing all day.
It's true.
And I, as Hera, also had my ears covered by my flight camp and my headphones, and so just the two of
entire day
us all
going,
day
"What?"
were like, what?
What?
It was great. But when you were talking about the swag and how it is kind of unique to this event, it reminded me of what we were chatting about, Julie, with the vendors. Because to be honest, the vendors kind of underwhelming and limited. Like there was all very it's all licensed, and so it felt like very generic Star Wars stuff. And it did feel like it had a lot of character to me in general. And I'm wondering if maybe that's why like the swag and the trading stuff has become so popular, is because
And
the
people
vendors have to
put
be
so much
licensed.
of their heart into it. They get creative. Yeah.
Speaking of, so one of the first things I was incredibly delighted by, and this was prior to the earrings, which are my favorite. We got some genuine Mustafar High Ground in a tiny little vial. I don't know if you can see. Is this how the people do it? They like show it on against their skin. I don't
Sarah
know.
now has the high ground.
I have genuine high ground. Nick
Oh, yeah.
has a
Can I
tiny
see
vial.
that?
No, the high ground is mine. I'm sorry. Nice try.
I can't get the high ground. I hate you.
It's over, Anakin.
You underestimate my power.
Don't try it.
That's okay.
Can
That's fine.
I talk about one
Oh,
more
yeah.
item? So I'm gonna hold this in my hand. So this lovely human, I had seen them a few times at the con, and they had a Lothcat backpack that was crocheted. It looked like it was crocheted, and so I finally saw them at the last very last panel, like last 5 minutes or whatever. We were walking out, and I saw them, and I complimented their Lothcat. They said thank you, and they opened it up, and I said, oh, there are things in the Lothcat, and I got this little, look at this little Wonka.
But wait,
Oh, no. His name is Henry, and he will be coming home with me. So I was actually so excited to get this. So this was one other than my earrings, and I mean we got so much lovely stuff. But this is one of my favorites. I thought that was so cute.
So there's these canon books called From a Certain Point of View or Certain Point of View. Right now, the Return of the Jedi one is actually coming out later this year, but they have one for New Hope and they have one for Empire Strikes Back, and it basically goes into like side characters or like somebody you saw in the background, and they get a whole like chapter of like their story during that time period. And in the Empire Strikes Back one, there is an entire story for that Wampa.
Really?
There he
Yeah.
is. Oh,
Does the Wampa have a name?
Henry.
Is it Henry? It's Henry.
I don't remember it having a name.
Poor Henry.
But it's now Henry. But yeah, like the Wampa had a family, and like it's a whole thing. And
Oh, poor
Wampa.
guy.
I know.
Family. Oh.
You feel for the Wampa. I know.
And then some jerk comes in and like cuts
Cuts
up
his
your arm.
arm.
It's just like
Yeah.
rude.
He's just trying
to
You
get
gotta
half
eat
life.
it.
Yeah,
I
just
know
trying to
it's
survive.
hungry.
You know,
Just have
lunch.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It is cold.
Yeah.
Gotta eat a lot to survive in the cold.
Yeah.
And it's not like the lunch was that good. It was lukewarm. I'll be here all night.
Yes,
I
you will.
will actually, yeah. Okay. We'll do
Wait,
swag
no,
things.
no,
throughout. Okay,
no, no.
one more.
So Julie actually brought swag.
I did.
She did, and she had a couple of different buttons and some stickers that I love, but I want to share this little button. Look at Lola! Isn't she great? I'm so excited. This is honestly, it's really one of my favorite things
Oh,
from the whole
yay.
celebration. I love it.
I'm so delighted.
And we got to see Lola a couple of times
Yeah.
in person.
Got a great
a
picture
couple
of Julie holding a Lola.
Did. Oh my gosh, the
And I took video.
droids.
Someone was carrying around. She had one that was like functioning and moving around also. So we took
Yes.
some video of that.
The
That was great.
articulation. I have a droid problem. I just squeal with delight, especially when the droids are like moving around, and I'm like, they're alive. Can I have
Well,
all of them?
There was a dancing droid.
There's,
That took
oh, yeah.
music. And he
there's
danced with me.
there's a whole droid builders like obstacle courses like
Obstacle course.
of droids. But basically you like went through a little fun house of like
There was like a fun house
droids.
of droids.
It was.
And like you could take photos and like do the whole thing. But like they did a great job.
I mean, one of them had the guy who was operating it was off to the side. I don't
Oh,
know if
yeah.
you saw him, but
It
he was
was,
like talking and interacting with you as you went by.
Captain
Yes.
Rex, not clone Captain Rex, but Captain Rex from the original Star Tours. That is now the DJ at the Cantina at Galaxy's Edge and Batuu. But it was that Rex. Yeah, voicing it and articulating everything. And of course, like they had other people around, remote. And you had some moments with R2.
We did.
You got to
Yes.
spin and dance with R2.
Yeah, we did. We had some really nice moments with R2. But it was so sweet. So they would be out. They were in the back by the droid area a lot of the time. But occasionally, some of the bigger astromechs would come out,
Mhm.
and their handlers would be out there with them, having them tool around. But there was some of the sweetest and most genuine interactions with these little kids who the droids are bigger than the kids, and they go up and they talk to them, and they make the droids like be all excited. And I mean, it was like bringing tears to people's eyes how like just adorable and wholesome these interactions were. Like that were some of the most magical moments, honestly, were just the random things and interactions that happened in the hallway. The panels are great, but it's all of these one-offs that you can't that aren't canned, they're not prepared, they're not polished, and these droids are pretty polished, let's be honest. They're very impressive. But
It's little, like,
those are
immersive
like the little
experiences.
magical moments. Yeah.
Yeah, when R2 not only rolled up to us, was rolling around and was beeping at us, but did the little like tick, 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 like that got me. I was just like, it is R2. I mean, I can see that they have a handler, but I'm like, no, that's R2. Hello, R2. We are now friends.
Yes.
I mean, the people at Celebration are definitely, there's a lot of this fandom gets a lot of grief for how toxic it can be, and it can get pretty gnarly. But the people who show up at Celebration are not those people. People who show up to Celebration are the people who love it. And so it's like anybody that we got to meet or interact with or just make friends in line, anybody that I got to meet or introduce themselves to me or anything like that, it was wonderful to meet you because I just love meeting fellow people who have that same like love and care for it, but just, are happy to be around people, like-minded people. And that's a great thing about being at Celebration. So if you ever think about going, don't forget to have those interactions. It's really easy to get like geared into just the panels or like trying to get to the things, but kind of magical part of that are those little like moments you have with people.
And I think that is kind of the message that they were trying to send, that like you can't see everything, you can't buy everything, you
I
can't
want to buy everything.
Oh my gosh. There's so many things. Oh, there's so many things I wanted to buy, but yeah, you can't buy everything, but it's, it's making friends, meeting people. Line friends were some of my most fun, cherished memories from the event. Just like, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Scotland. Oh, I'm from Norway. Oh, I'm from New York. Oh, I'm from Canada. Like I met people everywhere.
Vivian, I remember her name, Sky Girl Snips. She and her partner, they came and found us today because we had a cosplay with like a little performance element to it, and they was like, we were just going outside to actually film it, and they walked by, and she remembered my name, which I'm always impressed with because I am such hot trash
I'm
with
terrible.
names.
I'm sorry.
But I'm so glad I remembered hers, Vivian, because that was my grandmother's name. But she like came running up. She's like, "Did you do it already?" And they like came outside with us, and we did it a couple of times, and they also like took video. I mean, they were so nice. They're
Super
from
lovely.
Vancouver
Oh, they're
area.
Canadian.
They're Canadian.
Oh, great.
Shocking. Yeah, they're Canadian.
That's great. Yes, I'm going to buy those earrings from the store as soon as we're
Everyone
back
should
home.
buy these earrings from the store. She
Yes.
has other things as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Lovely.
We're gonna come back to swag and merch and stuff like that. We're gonna do like little bits at a time so we can show off things. They've got these. You can't see them now, but they've got like piles ready to display. But there's some really cute things. So they did show the next week's episode of The Mandalorian, and Julie and I will not spoil anything because
I've not seen
but we'll talk about just the experience of it.
Also, we should definitely talk about the experience of it and who we were sitting beside.
So when we were entering the room, I was at the Obi-Wan Kenobi red carpet premiere, and where I got to sit, thankfully friends Sam and Lacey got to save me a seat because they got in there earlier. We ended up sitting next to like the section with all the actual like stars there, and so when Julie and I were walking in, I saw a rope top section that looked exactly like that, same placement. I'm like, Julie, do you trust me? As opposed to going to the section that they were trying to get us to go to. So we detoured, and we could still go to the section. It wasn't against the rules, but so we sat there, and of course, when they started the whole thing, the cast and John and Dave, Kathleen Kennedy, was Kathleen out there?
I
don't
think
remember.
so.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
John and Dave and all of them were out there just to introduce it. But then, of course, when things got started,
Jon Favreau goes and sits like literally across from us, and so I was like mind blowing to me. He wasn't within touching distance, but almost
Close,
within touching
yeah.
distance, like probably about like Sarah's and my distance away. And so the whole time, like I was watching it, but also watching him, and then watching it and watching him because I wanted to see like his reaction to our reaction to what was
you
happening.
made the thing.
You made the thing, and I was
thing.
so delighted. He ended up leaving about 2 or 3 minutes.
You knew when the
ending.
episode was about to finish because that's when all the cast and everybody just like vanished.
Because
before
he
the
would have
credits.
been just like
Yeah,
everyone would
swarmed.
have descended upon him. I mean, I did have my marker ready just in case because I was like right there. But he ended up leaving early. But I was just absolutely delighted that I got to watch The Mandalorian. We both got to watch The Mandalorian with Jon Favreau.
And by the time you see this, some of you will have seen the episode, and you definitely know that there's a reason why we're not saying anything about it.
Nothing.
Well, many reasons why the whole episode. But they definitely leveled up in this one, and went places. So, but that's all we're gonna say for now. And even if we were doing this like live, I'd probably hold off on saying anything day one because everybody's gonna be coming back from Celebration and exhausted and not able to watch it. But just the experience of having Jon Favreau out there and like you made the thing. That's fun. But so the next day, that was just all Friday so
I
far.
don't know. Well, you guys did that. I went to a different panel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What did you do, Sarah?
I went to a panel about cosplaying the characters from the comics and the books. So it was very interesting. I have not read The High Republic, and I actually haven't read any of the comics. So it was interesting for me in terms of listening to them talk about how they came up with the inspiration for their costumes when either they don't have visual reference that are official in any way, or they, in the case of the comics, they have wildly varied visual references even within the same issue. So that was a really interesting discussion in terms of what pieces kind of you pick out to make part of your character. There were varied levels of sewing expertise on the panel, and so you had some people who always aimed for like the simplest lines, so those would be the easiest to recreate, and then to those who Cork is the maybe there was this one character who's little, looks like a kind of spiky thing, but they had quartz was the co-pilot. I don't know, a giant rock. They made a life-size giant piece of
yeah, give me a second.
Yeah.
Geode.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Geode. I don't know, Courtney. It's a rock. But like it was the size of her, and they brought it to the last celebration, and she ended up winning the cosplay contest. But it was really cute. Like her dad helped her make it and helped her get into it, and like it was her first time working with foam. And I was particularly entertained because someone in the audience had asked, well, what do you do with all this stuff when you don't want to wear it anymore? And most people were like, I bought a larger house to keep it in, or like that's what the second bedroom is for. And some of them, are like, oh well, I'll take it apart and repurpose pieces of it. But like, no one was like, well, I bin it or I give it away because and some of them are really sentimental, but for the most part, like one girl does everything from like thrifting. So she thrifts everything. She like thrifts tablecloths and everything. She made this big, it was a High Republic character that had this big tabard, but she thrifts everything. And then, the other ones, they recycle some of the pieces because cosplay can get very expensive, even when you're doing like closet cosplay, which is more where I start. Like I definitely start from real clothes, except for making the light. I decided last minute to do a Kylo Ren closet cosplay that was very low key, except for the lightsaber hilt, which I almost melted on the stove, but I feel like that makes it more genuine,
When you're trying to finish up 3 different cosplays for Celebration, why not add a new one?
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure some of you out there can relate,
Exactly.
Go for.
But yeah,
Go
it was
for
cool.
both,
It was cool to hear about the characters I knew nothing about and how they came up with the ideas and the inspiration for their cosplay when they either don't have or they have very inconsistent visual references.
I mean, speaking of the next day, so this was we did cosplays for Saturday. Sarah and I did. So
Yes.
yeah,
Sorry.
this is that the next day. And then of course you were Hera.
Yes.
And you did, the only time you ever did that was for Halloween.
Yeah.
So you actually got to not rust the makeup as much.
Yes.
and do it a little bit more. But you created a
the blurg.
the blurg. Yeah, the
It's right here.
little blaster. You
It's
got
right
it
here.
up there. Yeah.
It is. All my weapons are up here.
So this was like definitely last minute. Oh yeah. And again, this isn't. This is basically just taking a Nerf gun
It's a Nerf gun.
and just like completely repainting it and
Yeah.
everything.
I put hot glue over the Nerf logo because that doesn't get hidden by paint. It stands out quite nicely, especially with bright silver paint. So I put hot glue over the Nerf logos because I didn't want words on it. But we had to bribe my son to let me paint his Nerf gun because the brand new one that's exactly the same has different colors on it, and therefore this was special.
Does it still work?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's very orange on the inside.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very
But you don't want to paint that because it's gonna get all stuck.
Yep. Nope. Yeah, so
There you go.
But yeah, so and then of course I did my debut of my gender bend
Ahsoka?
Ahsoka. which I did live action Ahsoka for 2 reasons. I felt it weird that if somebody my age and male is going to be a teenage cartoon girl, so I went for live action, and also the outfit itself just fit me better. And of course, I could have appropriately done Rebels. That's what I was really going to go for, but the fit of it's not quite. Maybe someday we'll see. But so that was fun, but that was a lot of work. Having the like you having your Leiku on all day and me having my mantra all day.
It's a challenging
I
day for
couldn't
us.
turn my head, so I couldn't hear anything, and I couldn't turn my head, so I was a menace that
really
entire
wanted
day.
to put him on a leash because he kept
Yeah.
he's the team leader often, and the problem with being team leader when you can't hear anything nor can you turn your head is that you get very far away from the team, and it's a very crowded hall. And so I really just wanted to be able to like give you a tug. Like, wait.
But it's fun to do. But doing that, going into all the panels and stuff like that we went to that day, and also trying to do cosplay things,
Oh gosh,
that was a lot. But it's like 12 hours in that stuff. Your face at some point starts to melt with the makeup and whatnot. So note to people that you're going to do face makeup, get the pictures in the video early.
do it before
But
lunch.
the reason why we didn't is because of the Ahsoka panel, which was the first, besides the reveals, but the Ahsoka panel we all got to see. Holy crap. So they had released a trailer the day before. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, there's a trailer out there. The big reveal on that, Thrawn. You see the back of Thrawn walking. But of course, seeing Sabine and seeing Hera live action
And Chopper and the Loth Cat.
is everything. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And the Loth Cat was one of my favorite parts.
And of course, just seeing Rosario just being awesome. But of course, they talked about as much of their characters as they could, less about the show itself. Try not to give spoilers.
And always, as always, Dave Filoni is kind of looking at them and just making eyes with them. And then if they do a good job, he'll say, "Oh, that you did a great job."
Like a lot of verbal reinforcement.
He compliments them. Yeah, it's really hilarious. But I loved how much Rosario talked about the process of getting into Ahsoka's body, about her training that she did to be ambidextrous with her lightsabers. So she did all of that combat training, and just her centering process, and the 2 to 3 hour process of getting into the makeup. They got down to about an hour and a half, I guess, near the end, but she would kind of use it as this meditative process and finding Ahsoka's character body and all that kind of stuff. And she talked about how it was very life-changing for her. She actually embodies Ahsoka, and that it has actually changed the way that she looks at things. And so it's really cool.
That was really neat. Yeah, and the actors who were on that panel were Rosario,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
That's Hera.
And Sabine is oh crap. I will learn all these names.
Sabine, we'll learn your name.
Basically,
Promise.
you have an entire weekend of meeting people and getting all their names, and then you've got several hundred names of all the actual people in the shows and the panels. It's a little intense.
Yeah.
But it's like Natasha something.
But we got to see their costumes. We got to see their looks
is.
for.
It is Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
Thank you.
There you go.
I knew it was
How?
what?
How do you remember?
I'm a
these
movie and
names?
TV person. I will forget everything else, but I will remember movies and TV stuff. That's my thing.
He does this all the
Yeah.
time.
That's
You're
great.
like, hey, actor's name, blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's nice. Who? Character. I need
Yeah.
the character name and I need the movie reference because
I won't remember real people's names. That's where my brain says no. But I can remember fake people's names or people in movies. So there was the two of them. But they also brought out two of the people we saw in the trailer the day before.
and Chopper. Chopper walked
Oh yeah,
everyone
of
out.
course,
Well,
Chopper.
yeah, Chopper walked all of the heroes out.
We have the two new dark side user
Yes.
people. We don't know much about them.
Only that they're Force users because we assume that they are.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we saw them both use the Force in the trailer.
Yeah.
And have
Red
lightsabers.
lightsabers, yeah.
So seems like Jedi.
You saw things in the original
Or
trailer.
Sith.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we don't. I mean, we don't even like dark side users, but we don't know.
well,
you know.
because they're
They
Because-
weren't allowed to say anything
yeah,
about
they,
them.
they
They're like-
we don't even know their names.
No, I don't even think like we are in the show.
No, they did get to say their character
we did
names.
Did
lightsaber
they
training.
say their
Did
They get to
Oh,
say
they
their
did
character
say
names,
Oh, yeah.
but
But that
they
was
were too. It was too brief to memorize. So it's on the internet. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's probably on IMDb already.
They'll talk about their
Um,
lightsaber training.
yeah.
Except for Hera.
Hera did
Hera
not
didn't
have
use it.
Yeah,
lightsaber
she
She
training.
sends a blaster.
Which was interesting. We didn't think about it too much until there will be what they, of course, Celebration is big on. We're going to show something to just you, the people that are in the rooms streaming the things for the celebration. That's like what like 10% of Celebration gets to see these things because of how the
It's a
rooms
whole other
work.
thing.
So of course they showed us an extended trailer. And so I'm going to give you the choice to mute us for the next, let's say, minute and a half. If you don't want these things revealed. All right. Now, 4, 3. I'll give you a hand signal when I'll do this when we come back. All right. So the first reveal that they showed it twice, that it showed Sabine wielding a lightsaber,
A green
a green lightsaber. And then, of course, on the second viewing, then realizing that she's wielding Ezra's lightsaber, which was not in the original trailer. So that was one of the first. I know. That was one of the first things you're like, oh, because they specifically, like before what
Well,
you
because she
said.
did saber training with Ezra and Kanan to use the dark
Yeah.
saber.
Yeah.
So she knows how to use one.
And she's used Ezra's saber before
Yeah.
in that same storyline with that. But so that was the first one. What was the second reveal? I'll throw it off to one of you.
Oh, the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thrawn's face.
Oh yeah, Thrawn's face. I forgot that we only saw him walking back, so we saw his face in it, and of course everyone lost their mind, and he looks
Because he
amazing.
looks almost exactly like he did animated because just the same actor.
Lars Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Yes. And they did bring out Lars.
And then
they
he came out.
Yeah,
which
which was
everyone-
super rad.
And then, of course, the final one was the very post, like the last shot you saw were actual Purgles. You saw, well, it was Ahsoka and Hera, I think. Or
Yeah.
is it Sabine? It was Sabine with the
No,
short
it was
hair.
Sabine and Ahsoka.
Sabine and it was okay.
It was Sabine and Ahsoka.
But they were, of course, like, there was Purgles like right there, and that was awesome. All right, so now you can come back.
Come on back.
Come on back. Okay. So I do want to repeat that at the end of all of that, because this is all over the internet, they posted it on the socials, is that Lars Mikkelsen, who voiced Thrawn in Rebels, is now back to play live action Thrawn, which is the one person that I think most of us were hoping for, because like he was already Thrawn.
It was so
So
trippy to hear his
perfect.
voice coming out of
Actual his
non-blue.
voice, like speaking as him.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my god, that's Thrawn.
That's just his voice.
Yeah.
That's terrifying
Yeah.
and
Those-
amazing. But
Those Mickelsons, I'm there. They're a force to be reckoned with, huh? And they're both in Star Wars, so everybody's saying
and
like
neither
there's got to be a
uses the
way.
Force in Star
There's got to be a
Wars,
way to
actually.
get Urso and Thrawn, because there's like a 15-year time period where they could have possibly interacted. So
Well,
get them
their
both on screen
projects were
together.
competing.
Yeah.
Right.
Stardust and Thrawn's
Bomber
TIE bomber,
type
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thing.
were
That they-
in the books they were kind of in competition with each other.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was freaking phenomenal just to like get all those reveals. I'm not gonna repeat them now. But that was probably one of the first like big things that weekend that just visually got you.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
To be able to see the trailer, but then get like that. This was the first like sneak peek besides Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. were the
Skeleton Crew.
other
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So let's do a little swag.
Swag break.
Swag break.
Swag-
Yeah.
Oh, since we were just talking about
Droids?
Oh yeah.
droids and Chopper. Well, we weren't talking about Chopper, but Hera was mentioned, and we know that Chopper goes along with Hera. So we were outside for a reason. We were doing
taking
photos.
pictures for
Yeah, we were doing
Ahsoka.
cosplay
Yeah.
photos. And so I was cosplaying Hera, and this guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, you need one of these," and it's this awesome sauce Chopper sticker, and we collectively lost our minds. Like, yeah, no, we love Chopper. He's great. He's like, well, did you see him on, during the Ahsoka panel? We're like, yes, it was amazing. And he just casually drops, yeah, I built him. And we're like, excuse me? Excuse me, what? Like that one, the actual one. Oops, I dropped it. Don't step on it.
It's
It's
here.
precious. That one. Oh, and turns out he's Ross.
Josh Roth.
Nope, Josh Roth, the props master for all of the Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett.
So he builds the droids. He built Chopper
built
for all
Chopper.
the series, and he was just handing out.
He's
stickers.
just handing out
Like, do you
stickers
want one of
real
these?
casually, and we got a selfie with him.
Yeah, we definitely
Very excited
fangirled.
about it. We
and
Had
got
a strong
selfie.
fangirl moment.
Yeah, we did.
He's been working as like props master like that with Lucasfilm since like
Yeah.
2010, I believe.
And then he was
Is
one of
that-
the judges for the cosplay
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah, that was really
adorable.
cool. That was really cool.
That was super fun.
What else? Oh, I got these. This was a really interesting one. It was some matches that have this like it was a European droid design. So that was a really fun, neat one that I got.
And then we had kind of sticking with the Ghost Crew slightly as it overlaps with Ahsoka. Finally, Saturday. One of the first things that happened when we walked into the exhibit hall and I was in Hera is these two little sisters. They were so cute. Sabine and Hera came up, and so I got to take a picture with them, and they each had a corresponding sticker. Oh boy, that's shiny for Sabine and Hera with Disney. So Hera's got a Mickey ice cream, and then Sabine has a couple of Mickey balloons with her loaf cat on her shoulder,
Cute.
which are adorable and also very high quality stickers.
yeah.
I'm kind of excited, and they're sparkly. It's winning. Fantastic. And then I'm just going to segue because that with the Disney parks overlap, this is not a swag related thing. This is a cosplay related thing. But we were sitting down and eating, and I got up and chased this poor girl down the hallway because she was dressed as the droid from the stewardess droid from Star Tours. And her card that she hands out is a Star Tours boarding pass with her information. I mean, come on. I am a sucker for strong theming, and this is A+ theming.
Thank you for choosing Star Tours.
I know. And she was kind enough to do the whole and there was no smoking. She did the whole pose for me.
Oh,
Speaking
okay.
of Star Tours, they announced this weekend that they're going to do new adventures for Star Tours. So what they're going to add in, I don't know if they announced what it is, but they're just going to be new adventures. I don't know if it's going to deal with the Mandoverse.
Somebody
not.
speculated. I
Yeah, I
was
think it's
hearing
speculation.
speculation that it would be Mandalorian, but I don't know if that's confirmed.
There's also possible introduction of new characters to Galaxy's Edge.
Hmm.
Again, unknown. And who knows, because they already broke the timeline now with
Right.
bringing in Mando and Boba, and Fennec.
And Fennec.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hera.
I mean,
Yeah.
having anybody from that would be difficult makeup wise, but that's fine. I'll take
I
it.
just get
Yeah.
so excited anytime I see anything Rebels related because it is so understated. Like this,
I mean,
the
the
reason I
Ghost-
bought that shirt for Ethan is because it was.
Yeah.
I never see Rebel swag ever.
The ghost,
Ever.
the ghost shows up in Rise of Skywalker. So
Right. Well,
The
like it
ship at least
shows
is
up,
still
but it's
around that
never
timeline,
like
yeah.
it's always understated, and they're always Easter eggs.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's
well,
Hera's
I mean,
gonna
now that
be
we're
a
getting
character,
everything in
and I'm
live
really
action.
excited about it.
We went to the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So honestly, the panel was fine. It was just fun to kind of hear some of the things. But the best part were particularly two people. Just one of you want to take
I could listen to Warwick Davis and Anthony. Oh God, what's his name?
Daniels.
Daniels.
Daniels. Just pick on each
Bits
other
back
all
and forth.
day. I mean,
And they love it though. You can see that they're just like kind of brother-like, just
Yeah.
And
razzing
then
each other.
Ian would kind of hop
Ian
in
would
there.
they're just so dang clever. I
They're
was just
so
so
funny.
entertained.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just the zing. I mean, it was just you
Zingers.
could not
Yeah.
script it to be this good.
Yeah, they were great.
It never stopped. It was fantastic.
So much teasing. I mean, Anthony Daniels is also just, he's so sassy in general. I remember we met him last
Yeah.
year.
When he came in, he was trying to get everyone to do the Ewok like chant thing,
Yeah.
and only a couple people picked up on it, and he took us all to task for not
Have any of
properly
you seen
paying
Return of the
homage.
Jedi?
Yes.
I was so ashamed of myself for not having, appropriately prostrated myself on the floor.
He's so funny. Yeah, and he's just like that all the time.
Yeah.
He's just so sassy, and he just
Always
leans
a
into it.
performer.
Oh, absolutely. And he loves it. He eats it up.
But I will say one of the best parts of the weekend was actually animation game night.
Yes.
So we missed because we were doing other things. We missed the 15th anniversary of
Clone
Wars.
Yeah.
But we kind of decided to instead of that to see the animation game night, which was Ashley Eckstein, D. Bradley Baker, James Arnold
Lanter.
Taylor, Matt Lanter, and
Matthew Wood.
Yeah, I met Matthew Wood last year briefly.
Matthew Wood is Grievous and the B1s.
He does
Bunch of
the
the droids.
voices for them, but he also works on sound. So
Yeah.
he's not just a
Yeah.
voice actor; he's also actually a
Sound
sound
designer.
designer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting those four and like putting them in a game show atmosphere. First of all, they're all like kids when they're around each other. It's fantastic.
They're all friends, buds. They just take the piss out of everybody, to use a British
And Ashley is
expression.
like the baby sister who they're like, oh, she's gonna win. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know why we try. She's gonna obviously win.
She was also like Team Tano, like definitely like trying to get the audience on her side, and
Oh,
of
yeah.
course it was working because everybody loves her. So because it was audience judged.
But of that group, the only person who knows Star Wars more of the voice actors would be Sam Witwer, who wasn't there.
Oh yeah.
That's the
yeah.
only person who would have tasked them all with Star Wars lore, because he's a bigger geek than all of us, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how he
Yes.
keeps getting into Star Wars. It's just being a bigger geek than any of us. But so they took him to several, like they quizzed him on certain things, like name certain names. They even did, of course, a two people voicing a scene, and of
Dub
course the other
challenge.
two people like dubbing, yeah,
Mhm.
and the other people acted it out. But of course the scenes went off the rails. They did not stick to script.
Yeah.
But it was freaking hilarious. If it is online, I don't know, because again,
Oh.
they sometimes post these things later if it's
Mhm.
not already out there. Watch the entire thing.
But the
'Cause-
best part is the last game that they played was the drawing one where it was like a game of telephone, but with line drawing. So they stood in a line, the person in the front had paper, and then there was one person and one person. The person in the back of the line saw the picture that they were going to draw. And there were two teams. And they drew it on the person's back, who then drew it on the person's back, who then drew it on the paper. And Matthew, Matt, and
D. Bradley Baker.
D. Bradley Baker. I wasn't sure if he's D or D Bradley. I don't
D.
know.
Yeah.
D were on one team, and it was comedy gold.
Yes.
The-
They were very into it.
oh my gosh, they were
They
so
tried.
into it, and
They tried.
they knew that they weren't going to be great at this, but they tried really hard in spite of that. And I was pulling for them, but man, did they come up with some very inaccurate drawings. It was. But there was the literal like hair pulling moments. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It was my favorite panel.
Like sticks her tongue out when she's concentrating. She's like,
yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously, like the reveals and everything is super exciting, but moments like that for me, especially, I love the Clone Wars cast and just seeing them in their element, and it's just pure. That whole panel was just pure joy. It was lovely.
And even with that, so if you're a fan of the animated shows, like within that, the way the game was set up, they all said their own lines from all the classic lines from everything they've done, or even their live action counterpart, like
So you got
stuff
to
like
hear all their
Obi-Wan in particular.
Yeah.
And actually Anakin with Matt Lanter.
Mhm.
But they all said their classic lines because that was the way it's set up. So if you're a fan and you love to see voice acting and see the voice actors like actually say the things, like that panel is full of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that D. Bradley Baker because I think I saw him at like one or two other panels, and he consistently like drops lines or like drops in his character voices, and because he does all of the clones, I mean, when they credit him, it's the Bad Batch,
Yeah. The clone.
the whole batch,
Yeah.
like all of them. And so for him to just drop in like Wrecker and Crosshair, and it's just delightful.
It's so delightful.
He often goes to Wrecker though. That's kind of one of his
I
that
know.
I've seen the last couple times.
Aw.
But that was absolutely adorable and precious. I'm just looking at this to see, because there were so many things this weekend, like
Oh yeah.
what we saw. Yeah. So going backtracking a little bit. We saw villains of the sequel trilogy. And of course they brought out Gwendolyn Christie, Ian McDermott, and of course Andy Serkis. And honestly, that panel was they were all well spoken, and
It was also the most like
fascinating.
intellectual character
Yeah.
building discussion that we got of the
Yes.
entire. I
like
mean,
actors talking about
oh yeah,
how they dive into roles, and especially like if you're in like
when you don't have your face, when
you
you're
don't
in
have your
armor,
face,
and you
or
have
if
a
there's
mask on,
prosthetics or
motion capture.
motion
Mhm.
capture.
In Andy's case,
And finding the characters, and like it's interesting getting that deep dive. One of the funny ones though is that Phasma is that Gwendolyn Christie when it came to Phasma went about the role as if she had a thing for Finn.
no, she brought up because people are like what's her problem? Like, why
Oh.
does she hate him so much? She's like, well, yeah, because she's in love with
Unrequited.
him.
Yeah.
Because she fancies him.
She
fancies
fancies him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you take that out with a lot of like frustration and anger when you can't do anything about it. And I will never be able to watch those movies again the same way. It's gonna have a whole new meaning.
I think she also talked about too how she not only fancies him, but just the way that he is able to kind of break free of some of the
Mhm.
constraints that she has. And she did a kind of a deep dive into what the armor physically did to her body and what it meant to her as a character, and how constrictive it was, and how she had to relearn how to move in it because it was so constrictive. The fact that it took away, the female form was really interesting. How it reflected the world back to the person looking at it, and how powerful that was for her. And so again, if you have a chance to watch that panel, it was absolutely fascinating.
Especially if you
broke that
are
down.
an actor or have any
Yes.
theater training, this will be utterly fascinating to you, because all three of them talked about their favorite villains, what they found compelling about them, how to make them human and to relate, because you have to be able to relate to a villain in some way for them to actually be a three-dimensional character.
Absolutely.
And so they talked about, finding their humanity essentially. And that's often rooted in pain. But it was fantastic. And I was a little disappointed to find that none of them had lifted any trinkets from set.
Yeah.
Oh,
None of them
yeah.
had. That's like everyone's favorite thing to like, oh, so what did you take from set? I'm like,
Dave Filoni takes everything, right?
Yeah.
I took it all. Nothing. None of them have anything. Well, because Andy does the motion capture, so there is
There was
nothing
nothing to
for him
lift,
to
yeah.
take. There's nothing to take, and then
Oh,
for
yeah.
Ian, it was prosthetics. Like, what do you need to do? Like, take the piece of your face that you peeled off? I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
For-
or robes. Like, there's nothing there.
For Andor, all the prisoners in the
Oh,
facility,
yeah.
they were actually gifted the number
On
their number
cell.
that was on their cell.
Yeah.
They were all gifted that, so it wasn't stolen. But that was
Oh, yeah,
they
that's
gifted
right.
it.
Yeah. He was like, well, I
Um,
got that, which is nice, but it's too late.
But Ian's hilarious. In in his interactions with being cast or being brought back every time he gets brought back for something.
I really thought I was dead too.
Yeah.
I was surprised anyone found out I was alive. Apparently everything is my fault.
and just the way he goes about that, because like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna recast Palpatine? I mean, he doesn't reveal things beforehand, so he doesn't like leak the scene. But yeah, it's just kind of funny his take on all that, and that interesting how his storyline, he went from like Emperor Palpatine and then had to go back and like be himself,
a young man playing this old ass emperor, and then to being himself at his own age as Senator Palpatine,
and then Sidious is just having the cloak,
and now
then being a
resurrected
thingy, Strand cast.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I didn't realize from like just watching the movies is I didn't realize that Snoke was a like beta test for Palpatine's clone.
Okay, if you're a fan of Rise of
oversimplification,
if you're a fan of Rise of Skywalker, I'm going to give a little criticism of it for a moment, but I don't want this to take away from anything. But they breeze through plotline points.
He came
that
back
entire movie
somehow.
Yeah,
magical.
And they spent no time diving into something.
Which I'm hoping that some of the storylines of stuff that were happening maybe
with the Bad Batch, especially because they're starting to get into
start to flesh that out, and maybe the post film will, I don't know, comment on that. I don't know.
I don't know if they'll comment on that, but at least that they can actually just focus in on the singular thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like basically for me, Rise of Skywalker was like shoving 3 movies into one, and just breezing through certain points.
Yeah.
It was like the movie starts with hyperspace skipping, and the whole movie felt like that to me. But that's why I'm excited for the new Jedi Order, not the New Order.
The new Jedi
that is
Order.
Yeah.
The new Jedi.
Yeah, to be able to bring focus back to certain character aspects.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do I want to say with that? So Ian's take on a lot of that stuff is quite hilarious. So if you do watch it, it's got great insight, but also just Ian's just sitting back like, all right, I guess I'm back.
He told this amazing story about how when they shot the scene, because it was just Daisy and Adam on set, and then just the crew, and they kept him real secret, and they had umbrellas all around him to bring him into set, and he did make the comment that you may often be encouraged to hood oneself as you're walking in under these circumstances, and he suggested perhaps not, since that would be a dead giveaway. So he umbrellaed up and walked in, but it started with he did the voiceover. So
this was a scene with Kylo walking through Exegol.
Yes, and they gave him a god mic, so the whole soundstage could hear the voiceover, and he did the first line, and like the whole crew. Sorry, oh yeah, you're on the stool. The whole crew was like, oh, it's him, and then J.J. Abrams, right, was the director. He's yeah. Okay, let's go again.
Settle down. Yeah. Let's go again. Yeah, exactly.
But that was. I mean, it's nice to hear those fun little stories. Like, they pulled one over on a lot of the crew as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Gave them that Easter egg moment,
and they're able to have that secrecy, which I'm sure is impossible these days.
Gosh, it's actually, as annoying as it is, it's very impressive as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, they made loose reference to all of the NDAs that they have to sign when they get cast for things. Yeah. And everyone references them all the time. It is there. I cannot answer that answer. I would like to remain employed and living. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about this moment instead and how excited I am.
I'm so happy to be here with all of you.
I've had to sign NDAs before, and to be fair, I don't remember what was in them. So I just know that I don't want to risk anything.
No.
The fear of that. So it was a fun panel. I enjoyed listening to them really just kind of dive into being a theater person and loving movies and film and acting, like just being able to hear actors talk about the process. Because a lot of times when actors start to talk about, they kind of get fluffy with certain things. They kind of they don't really actually talk about like the process. in full detail. Like there are some shows that actually get into that a little bit, but for the most part, like you don't get that much. And like with Star Wars panels, you rarely get to dive into that. So it was nice to actually hear actors talk about it.
It was a deep dive
Yeah.
into their process, especially for Gwendolyn Christie, which was absolutely fascinating for me to listen
Absolutely.
to. So.
Yeah. And
She's
Andy
articulate.
Serkis talking about that idea of motion capture
Mhm.
being exactly the same as just any sort of film or television acting, like the acting process. There's no difference for him in the process of motion capture characters versus just being him. And I find that fascinating. Like it makes complete sense. But like your brain kind of thinks like, oh, well, you got to change something for motion capture, right? Like,
Mhm.
but no, it's all the same process, which
Yeah, because how much does your costume influence your character development? For
Yeah.
Gwendolyn, it was a lot. And for
Mhm.
Andy, he was like, I got dots on my face. And
Yeah.
but for Palpatine, it was interesting because Ian shared that he wasn't actually even he wasn't cast originally, but the actor who they had cast couldn't wear the glass contact lenses.
Mhm.
So he ended up being cast in the role. And the voice that he uses came from how gross and disgusting he looked. So that I would say that had a significant influence on all of us.
Yes.
so yeah. So that actually quick merch break. Swag break.
Swag break.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I got on Friday, actually, so I was
Swag
cosplaying
break is the
Kylo.
most
Swag
exciting.
break. Was I got a Vader bracelet from Carrie. Carrie?
Yeah.
Carrie.
Yeah.
I know. I was so excited.
So you were dressed as Kylo.
Because I was
so-
dressed as Kylo. I have like I said, I am a fan of a strong
Vader.
theme, and so when I get swag related to who I am cosplaying, I'm extra delighted and enjoy it.
I got some Lego, which was super cute. So first I got this Lego, which is Baby Yoda's, but they're Baby Yoda's as Luke and Leia. They're Luke and Leia Baby Yoda's, and I said Yodels.
I don't know.
And I said, oh, my partner loves Lego. And so they gave me a second batch of them. And then this tiny Grogu, I guess, fits inside the Lego sets. Is interchangeable.
Oh,
so
that's
yeah,
cool.
that was really cute. Really nice.
Adorable.
I liked those.
I was surprised that I expected stickers because I saw some of those, but I didn't realize people full on made patches.
Yes, it's huge.
Look at this 3PO patch. I mean, it's gorgeous.
But
First
just
of all,
handing
but
them out for free, not
you
Yeah,
know,
they're just
we're
these-
outside today, and they're like, "Oh, hey, here," and I was like, "Thank you, person, for this beautiful gift that I've received."
these patches. Yeah,
I'm
there's
so
some
jealous of
like
that
really,
Ezra
really.
one. That's so
Oh
cool.
yeah, that's a really nice one. I like that
I
one.
love the Rebel swag.
And then the Luke Linewalker. The frustration is strong with this one. That was a really fun. funny
Oh
patch.
man, it's still too soon. for
So
that.
many lines.
so much lines.
Yeah.
These collapsible stools, hot tip.
Yeah. All right. Hold on.
Thanks, Lacey.
This is these collapsible stools. You can get them just on Amazon.
Whoa.
You too can collapse and drop it on the floor.
And it works.
Fantastic.
It works great. You drop it, it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can wear it like a purse.
Yeah, and of course, like we just hooked it on my backpack all weekend.
Play it like an
But-
accordion.
Yeah. And then ta-da, and it works great.
They are
Um,
handy as heck.
Uh,
I may have gotten more compliments on my stool than on any of my cosplays this weekend.
that is not true. She was more
That's not
popular in
true.
her cosplays than I was in mine. Which I'm
not
okay with.
today.
Uh
Your Obi-Wan was a hit today.
okay. Well, today we did let's
Still
move on to
gratifying
today's
since I
stuff.
knew
Today we
you.
did a
Mhm.
mashup of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Satine Kryze. Mashup was Singing in the Rain. We called it Satine in the Rain. We'll be releasing a video for that. Just have to edit the music in because you can't really hear the sound on the video. But that was super fun. We put
Julie was
together a
kind
little,
enough to film it for us.
we put together a little dance routine and performed it a couple different places today. Thankfully, our friends were gracious enough to kind of be an audience for us.
And the new line friends that we made.
Oh, yeah.
Vivian, they hunted us down to watch it as well. So you too can make excellent line friends. Celebration.
A learning experience is that if you
Oh,
do a routine involving an umbrella
Or a wig.
on a windy day, it was very windy today outside, and you're like, hey, let's go outside, and because it had been raining, so it's kind of like the perfect atmosphere. When you're performing a routine, not once but twice, does the umbrella turn inside out.
It's great.
So I'll definitely post the outtakes of some of
You
those
will be
after
betrayed by your props.
because it happened to me and then it happened to Sarah in 2 different runs. And let's just say it definitely puts a stopper in what you're doing because you're like, oh god.
Whoops.
Get to angle it just right. Thankfully, the last run we did with our mutual friends went well and nothing went awry. But oh man,
I think I did choreo right too on the last
yeah,
one.
You did.
it's all about
I
heart.
did. I think
You just gotta have heart.
No, it's lovely.
So this morning's panel, this is Monday of the con. This morning's panel was quite emotional. It was the Bad Batch panel. And
I
of
almost
course,
ruined my makeup. I was not happy with them.
of course, they started off with a video with, of course, showing the moment with Tech. And then, of course, later in the panel, they ended up talking about that for a while.
We all had to process our
Yeah.
feelings. I was not ready to process my Tech feelings.
It was quite emotional to be good. Yeah.
Well, they all
um,
got choked up as well, so it was not just us.
Oh,
And
yeah. They're all getting
they've
choked
had
up on
time to
stage.
grieve, and they're still getting choked up. They blindsided all of us, for whom it is very fresh.
And I watched that like in the airport / on a plane, which is I was just like, what am I can't say anything to anyone because nobody's like, and like John hadn't watched it yet, and I was like, so I'm just like sitting there having a sad
quietly
by myself. Like I was like, this is the worst.
That is the word, like to be on an airplane and to have the sad.
I didn't know.
If you've ever experienced that, if you're watching a movie and then
I
like it's
only
just
ever
a-
choose those movies
Yeah.
on planes. It was a random one. I watched another one that I got the sads with. Like, what?
It's not my fault. It's
It's
not
not
my
my
fault.
fault.
I didn't know. I was just like, I'm gonna watch this episode of the Bad Batch because we're going to Star Wars, and I was like, why would you do this now? How rude.
Rude.
Anyway.
But it was, of course, it's nice to hear them talk about the show. But this is how you always know that they're going to actually reveal something, is that they have like the please do not record, kind of
No
signs.
phones. They will kick you out.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
Disclaimer.
so you were like, there's definitely going to be a reveal for this one. And for some reason, people did not try to come to the Bad Batch. It wasn't
Worked
as
out great for
popular,
me.
so we were able to get in. And of course, like they showed a sneak peek, even though the season just ended. They showed a sneak peek for season 3, which is they also announced is the 3rd and final season. So we only get one more season of Bad Batch to wrap it all up. But holy crap, it was intense. Like it. I mean, who knows what it'll be, but like especially with a final season, they can really like just go for it. And I don't want to say too much. There were a couple cameos that popped into it. Otherwise, like there weren't big spoilers for it. It's just a couple cameos of 2 characters in particular that we've seen before, and that we will see after.
The tone was very intense. Also,
Yeah, it
The
was
tone
very
was
intense tone.
very
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah, it was.
Like-
There was no like happy-go-lucky episode.
there wasn't. We're gonna go
shots.
fishing on Pabu and like fall into the mine, go on the water slide.
It
tone
looked
at all.
all. It looked all intense.
all
So
very
far, I
serious.
mean, yeah. And the only.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
there
it
will
was
be like
2 minutes
moments,
or something.
maybe,
Yeah.
but
Of course, you got the Bad Batch. You had like Omega Crosshair, and no, there was no Tech in it. So
No, I desperately looked.
they never said in the panel itself. They never said Tech was deceased. They said gone, but
But they
I
talked a
don't
lot
know.
about
But
like
it sounded
stakes,
final though.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
talked about the stakes of
Yeah.
going where they went and having
It
there be no
sounded final.
consequences. Didn't actually lend
So if you're-
itself to.
If you're looking for a Tech return, I would not
I don't
put your
think
heart
so.
on that one.
I wanted to. I want to believe because anyone can come back, but yeah, I the way that we were talking about it, the way they talked about in the panel how they were trying when they were writing it, they were trying to like talk themselves out of writing text death. Like they had like legitimately tried, and they said no, and they kept coming back to that as like this is the consequence. You know, they were trying to avoid the empire.
It didn't feel real
for so long, and it didn't feel exactly, it didn't feel real for them. So as sad as it is, I think we all
need to process our feelings, and we could be delightfully surprised if the unexpected happens. But from the beginning, I've been processing my feelings the whole time.
Yes.
They're nowhere near done.
I would say I think Rex was in there. That's not, I mean, he's been each season, so it's not a big spoiler of any sort. But I mean, you'll see a lot of the same characters we've seen a lot in the show itself. But yeah, there were two specific cameos in that of two characters that we've seen before, and then we see those same two characters after.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm sure you can find it on the internet. But again, I'm not going to be the one who spoils things. Because they said in the panel, don't spoil things. And but if you talk to me in person, I'll totally tell you.
See? He'd be a great person, Lucasfilm, to offer a press pass.
And if I sign an NDA, I will say nothing until you tell me to. Good soldiers follow orders.
Since when have we ever followed orders?
No!
I was waiting for that. That was a whole setup. And
I know, you can't see that anymore.
You did that on purpose.
But seriously, in 2 years I would love to get a press pass.
Delivered that line.
I know.
Oh,
but the Bad Batch, that was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So the closing ceremonies, and we didn't actually go to closing ceremonies last year.
I think we were kind of walking into the building as they were happening, so we kind of like heard it because it was revealed on the live stage, but we didn't actually. And
I know why now. The only reason, it's a fun little wrap up. It's fine. Mm-hmm. You know, you can kind of feel like a community coming together like that. There's some good vibes with all of it, but
they show like the highlight reel or whatever.
And they kind of go to each of the rooms of like where they've been like hosting things and whatnot.
Well,
they go to
put
each of the
together
hosts.
a video that they've collected over the
so
the con,
it feels like a good like little like wrap up of any sort of like big event where you can kind of bring all of that back together to feel like you're kind of the one community and kind of relive those experiences and get to kind of absorb it. But of course, most people are there to actually see the location and date of the next celebration, which, of course, you know, probably at this point is Japan in 2025, April 18th through 20th. And I will say, every American that I heard that I talked to or heard on the internet is disappointed because it's just the expense. And
they get me a celebration for my birthday and I can't even go. So, I mean, Lucasfilm, I accept birthday presents.
And I would love to be there with the press pass. I know you're not watching Lucasfilm or Disney, but
you could be.
Yeah.
You could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only hope.
You are, yes. I will also take a press pass for no reason, but I will take one. Thank you. All access. Thank you.
Yes.
I need buddies. Buddies help me.
You need a handler.
I know.
That's what you need.
I will definitely try to go. I've got 2 years to figure out logistics. There's still time. Yeah, basically.
I've never been to Japan. That sounds like a cool trip.
In all
my birthday, we can go for our co-birthdays.
Oh wow!
That'll be your magical life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah.
You see how people are trying to like convince themselves that like I could totally make this. You know, if we just it'd be great. Yeah, what's money? That's
get the Jedi passes and the flights and
that's future Nick's problem.
Yeah.
But as far as people we met this weekend, so Sarah and I did a photo op.
Oh, it's over there.
I'll find it.
It's right there.
With
very careful.
With Andy Serkis. It's shiny, so I don't know if you can. Yeah, we got Andy Serkis photo right there.
And what
I'm wearing the shirt that matches Julie's.
And what did you say to Andy, Sarah?
I'm so happy to meet the precious.
He laughed. Yeah. But it's having Andy being in all the nerddoms that we love. That was an
That
obvious
was the
choice
easy
for
choice.
us. Yeah. You met.
Emily Swallow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a meet and greet with my pass, and it was at the same time as the Obi-Wan Kenobi panel, so that was interesting. So what I did was I got in line for the Obi panel, and I got my seat, and with my line friend, which is very handy, and then I said, hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I will be right back. So I did go to the bathroom, but then I ran upstairs, and I got a ticket, and that said I was in letter I. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So I went back to the Obi-Wan panel, and I was there for about 30 or 40 minutes. And then I skipped out of that, and I ran back upstairs, and the room was closed. And I said, can I get back in? And they said, okay. So I was the second last person to meet her. So then I got to meet her for 3 seconds, but she was super lovely. I told her that I loved her in Star Wars and that I was a Supernatural fan. She was really excited about that. And she gave me a big old smile and put her arm around me and got a nice little picture. So that was a very fun, quick experience, but yeah.
They are so efficient with those pictures.
So
I was
efficient.
Oh, yeah.
shocked.
It's
Like-
you're a conveyor belt. You're on a conveyor
Conveyor
belt, basically.
Absolutely.
during
Yeah,
those
it is
photos,
like
yeah.
smile and pose. If they could put you on a conveyor belt, they
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
would.
And that's for folks that like want to, if you're thinking about purchasing autographs or photographs, and you can read about lots of stuff online, and a lot of the stuff has to do with it just goes by so fast. And so, just think about that if you're, looking at spending.
If you're
Yeah.
wanting to like actually have an interaction with them, the
Experience.
photos are absolutely not the way to go.
And autographs, it really depends on who you have. If you're
Yeah.
going to see Ashley Eckstein, she spends tons of time with every person.
You're just going to be in a line for several
Forever.
for
hours.
several
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
But she's so lovely and honestly
Yeah.
super worth
She's-
it. I would.
Probably one of the best people to be
Oh,
with fans. And
Yeah.
She came to the Ahsoka meetup on
Yeah.
Saturday and did like a whole speech and like cried and
Oh,
took a
so
ton of
lovely.
pictures and everything. I mean,
She's just a genuine.
because
nice
I was
person.
running late. I had stopped to use the bathroom. I was coming out to the panel trying to catch up, and she comes sprinting out with like her handler, like trying to keep up behind her, like the security guy.
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
just like, wait for me, wait for me, wait for me. Like her enthusiasm is so endearing.
Yeah, she's super lovely. But yeah, if you're looking for photos and autos, it could go anyway. So just keep that in mind when you're spending
And
your dollars.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau might show up at the store the morning night
Yeah.
before. You may not notice they're there because you're so overwhelmed with the t-shirts on the wall. But
we were
you know,
so focused on
they could
buying
be there.
merchandise that we like. Somebody said to me, "Oh, did you see Favreau?" And I was like, "Where? What?" And then went like, "No." Anyway, so sometimes they randomly will come up to you in the con. I saw a few people that they like. Favreau was giving out these Mandalorian coins
Oh, fun.
and like taking pictures with like if it was a cute family thing. And so
That's adorable.
some things like that can happen, although they may not happen to you.
Oh my God, the best family cosplay though was a Han, a Luke, and a Wampa.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Riding
they were on the
tauntauns. The
tauntauns.
Han and the Luke had the little
Yeah.
tauntaun riding, like
So
the little tauntaun
cute.
riding things, and then the Wampa.
So
The
cute.
mother was Leia, but off to the side.
Yeah.
So the
Um,
littlest one was kind of like,
Hi, Mom.
I'm looking at you,
What's going
Mom, and then everything else was happening, but he stayed where he was for the photos. It's really cute.
Oh man, it's been kind of a crazy weekend. There's it's really interesting that you think with 4 days you'd be able to do so much, but really you have to pick and choose things. You end up in lines and waiting for things a good amount.
Mhm.
There are every time strategies that will help, but every single time you go to one of these things, you have to reassess what that is because things always change.
Mhm.
The rules that they say and the times that they say for lines and other things end up being lies, all lies.
This would be a criticism of Reed Park.
Yeah.
Not Lucasfilm or Star Wars.
No,
but
no,
the
yeah.
company that runs
Exactly.
the con does not run things very consistently or reliably, would be my observation as a first-time attendee. So bear that in mind. You are unlikely to get a straight answer. So ask somebody else.
But really, I mean, because there's so much, you have to just kind of pick the things that are most important to you. And then everything else is kind of like, icing on the cake at that point. Last year, we did a lot of autographs and photo
ops.
stuff. And I wanted to do a cosplay thing that year, Rex cosplay. and so that was our priority last year, and so this year we're like panels are our thing.
Mhm.
And because of the chaos of the first day, Sarah and I didn't think that would happen, but thankfully we're able to like figure out how to make that happen. And sometimes you just had to get there early enough to do that. But
Yeah, we spent like 3 hours just to be disappointed and frustrated. That was very unfortunate.
So yeah, it's very much a decide what you want, figure it out. But if you ever need any suggestions or questions or stuff like that, feel free to reach out.
Know what you want to do, but have a backup plan that you are perfectly pleased with as well.
Yeah. that
And
is helpful.
honestly, like there's lots of fun stuff to do there that doesn't involve panels, and I think so I think have a backup plan, do some research into what the options are. Like if you really want, certain panels or scheduling around that, or photo ops or autographs, or you want to cosplay, or you just want to walk around and see the cosplays. Like I feel like y'all
I could spend a whole weekend just
Yeah.
walking around looking at these cosplays. There were blue milkmen, like milkmen carrying bottles of blue milk. I mean,
That's great.
People get really creative.
So
with
creative.
that. Yeah, I love it.
It's fantastic.
Um,
It makes me want to cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, like you could spend an entire weekend just like kind of
Yeah.
checking out cosplay stuff
people
or
watching, yeah.
people watching.
Yeah, and like there's the live stage, so all the actors come out on the live stage. This year they had a schedule for the live stage, which they didn't have last year, so that was really interesting. It meant that the live stage was really busy.
Packed.
It was packed all the time, so it was kind of
Especially
hard
on
to see. Yeah, but if like exclusives are your thing, if you want to get figurines or Funko Pop Funkos or Loungefly, or like there's lots of different ways to enjoy the convention. And I think there are people that enjoy it in a bunch of different meetups. That's a huge thing. Or like after parties, all that kind of stuff. There's lots of different ways you can enjoy the celebration.
I was particularly interested in all of the kids programming that I
Oh,
was too old to
yeah.
attend, but they have droid building, and they have like programming for droids, and they have
Learning to
learn how to draw
draw.
characters, and they had lightsaber training, and they had mindfulness with Ashley.
Eckstein.
Thank you, Ashley Eckstein, and like they had their own screening things for the Young Jedi
And a stage
series.
and Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, that one. They had their
Or-
own
or-
screening
yeah.
and like reveals for the kids shows. And I mean,
Yeah.
it was, some of it sounded really fun. I really wanted to go to some of like the droid building and droid programming ones, but they had an upper age limit of 18, and I just cannot pass for 18 anymore,
No.
unfortunately.
Oh, maybe
So
once
bring
it comes into there.
kids.
Yeah, bring kids. and
I will
you
take
can
them
go
to all
with
of the
them.
kids panels so that I can do the kids.
They look
things.
really good.
Yeah,
I
they
just
look like a lot
get
of fun.
stoked when I get carded. I mean, I know it's like they're carding everybody, not just me, but like I feel good about that. So
Yeah.
I'm at that point in life. You're like, oh, you want to see my ID? Okay. Hey, there you go.
They-
But Celebration is great. If you weren't able to attend, honestly, there's a threshold for people. I know it's hard monetarily to make that happen. I mean, it's costly for all of us. But all the things you get to enjoy with Star Wars will be out there for everybody. So like, yes, there's sneak reveals, and I love getting sneak peeks on things, but all those things when they're actually revealed will still be glorious. So even if you didn't get to attend, just know it's hopefully it's not the end of the world. And
It is definitely not the end of the world.
You'll get to see the content
Yes,
when
you
it
will get
comes
to
out.
I mean,
regardless,
my first
so.
celebration was last year, and I love the hell out of Star Wars before this. So yeah. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully I was helpful in the chat. Hopefully future Nick is helpful at all. If not, what the heck, Fulcrum? Why aren't you being helpful in the chat?
Why are you just doing it to me
What?
as you're saying this?
No, I'm pointing to where the chat is on the.
I don't know. That
No,
feels
on the screen.
Future
Sorry.
Julie is delightful. So
Curse you, Sarah.
Very skeptical.
Curse you, future Sarah. Why can't you be like past Sarah?
She's
I was
too
mean.
young.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. And of course, next week, going back to regular streaming, with me being in person. But yeah, I wanted to just have
In
this
person,
here.
that's a good trick.
Well,
You mean
yeah.
actually live?
I will
Live,
be in your
actually
living
live.
room.
Hey.
No.
I will pull a Santa Claus and I will come down your chimney.
Terrifying. Don't do that.
Saint Nick. That no, I will not. I will not. No. But yeah, so we'll be back. But again, I wanted to just do a celebration wrap up. And if you have seen the Mandalorian episode already, I'll do video stuff, like video on it on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, so you can comment there and we can chat on the video there. Because don't want to spoil anything here. But there is a Mandalorian in that.
Probably
in that
more
episode.
than one would be my
Yeah.
guess.
I don't know.
Mandalorian
I'm not
in that
gonna
episode?
reveal that. I refuse to reveal that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know we're ridiculous, but that's part of the fun. But again, thank you for joining me. And the secret transmissions. Thank you to Julie. Thank you to Julie too. I know like you have to fly back tomorrow, which is why we kind of wanted to do this ahead of time.
Thanks for having me. I
yeah.
love chatting about this stuff. So thank you.
And of course, thank you, Sarah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, who will be next to me while I'm typing into this when this is actually going live. So I am so sorry, future Sarah.
He was pointing to me.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
pointing to future Sarah.
I'm
with all
no,
of the
I
chat
was
things.
yeah, I'm apologizing to future Sarah, but
Current Sarah. now.
future Nick, you're just a disappointment. You should have done better in that chat.
Future Sarah would
What were
take a
you
nap.
thinking? Do better. Do better. So again, thank you for joining. We'll be back same bat time, same bat channel next week. And of course, this week, actually, Sarah and I are going to be. I'm probably going to also post some non-Star Wars things, which I don't normally do, but post some Tolkien stuff and do a little bit
visit
of
some other
content.
nerdoms.
And they'll get like 3 views, but that's fine. I love it, so I will post about it, and you'll see us exploring some of those things. But I'm excited about it. But otherwise, may the force be with you. For Light and Life, we are all the Republic.
There are more of us.
There are more of us. Yub Nub.
One way out.
One way out was big.
on program. Okay, that's a good way to end right there. I love it.